So, accents. We all speak in one, and even if you don't think you do, trust me, you do. Side note, I know the proper linguistic term for this is dialects, but most people just call them accents, so that's what I'm going with. Personally, I know American English, Standard Japanese, and two you probably haven't heard of before, Pidgin and Hiroshima-ben. Pidgin is the way a lot of people here in Hawaii talk, I just picked it up from everyone around me. And Hiroshima-ben is, you guessed it, the way people in Hiroshima speak Japanese. I picked that one up from my grandparents. Most of the time I just stick with what people consider regular speech, especially with Japanese, and you will see why in a bit. But if you're anything like me, sometimes these accents just sort of, slip out. Like when I'm talking with close friends in Japanese, I use Hiroshima-ben a lot. But that doesn't always go well, especially when these accents are so different that unless you know them, it's hard to understand them. This kind of stuff happens a lot with Japanese, where some of these local accents sound like completely different languages. I am looking at you, Tsugaru. I've actually had this issue before. There was one time I was talking with my friends and the topic of these accents came up. And one of my friends, who speaks standard Japanese but none of these accents, told me that my accent was very different from standard Japanese. Which surprised me because, to me, it just sounds normal. So I said, nah, it's not that different, is it? When you talk in Hiroshima-ben, I only understand about half of what you say. I was just thinking, dude! Why the hell did you not tell me this when we were still in high school? And that's why I try not to speak Hiroshima-ben to people I'm not already friends with. When I talk to people, I actually want them to understand what I'm saying. It can be frustrating when you just can't communicate. But you know what's even more frustrating? When people tell you that the way you talk is bad. And I don't mean when your English teacher fixes your grammar. No, I mean when you speak in your local accent and what you said is fine in your local accent. You know it's fine, and whoever you're talking to knows it's fine, but they still act like you did something wrong! That is basically my experience with Pidgin in a nutshell. When I was in elementary school, nobody really cared. I'd use Pidgin all I wanted, and sure, it wasn't the way I normally spoke, but it still came out a lot more than it does now. But as soon as I went into middle school, basically all the teachers started telling me, don't speak Pidgin, Pidgin is bad. Heck, in high school, I remember we had an assembly where basically everyone in my grade went to the gym and someone, I think it was the principal, but I'm not sure, gave us a speech about how we shouldn't use Pidgin, complete with a story about how he went to a college on the mainland and one of his teachers thought he either didn't speak English or had some learning problem because apparently people on the mainland not liking Pidgin means we shouldn't use Pidgin here in Hawaii or something. I don't know. I didn't really question it at the time, but since I started college, I've realized that the whole Pidgin is bad spiel is a bunch of bullcrap. Pidgin is how we talk here in Hawaii, and there is nothing wrong with that. That doesn't stop people from treating it like it's wrong, though. I've actually met people like that before. There was one time I was working and someone from the mainland came to my register. Now, here in Hawaii, we have a ban on plastic bags, so we can't just give you a plastic bag for free. If you want a bag, you have to pay 10 cents to buy the reusable one or bring your own. I asked this guy if he needed a bag, and he said no. Just to make sure I heard him right, and you'd be surprised by how many times I either heard someone wrong or they changed their mind, I asked if he really didn't need a bag. Now, the way you do that in Pidgin is something like, so, noni bag. He was like, what? I'm sorry? Oh, your English is... That's when I realized, oh, this guy's from the mainland. I can't expect him to be used to every Pidgin phrase. I'd better apologize and explain what that was. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. That was Pidgin. It just came out. Pfft, Pidgin. Eh, bruh, you know what? If you understand what I said, then no complain. We not gonna change the way we talk just cause some howler from the mainland when staying alike. Is what I would have said if I didn't actually care about keeping my job. But I need my job, so I just stood there and smiled while being pissed off in my head. Moral of the story, just because you have an accent, and it can be whatever accent, British, Irish, Scottish, American, Australian, New Zealand, whatever there is, don't feel ashamed of it. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, it's important to learn the standard for things like job interviews and all that, but your accent is perfectly fine. Don't feel ashamed of it, and definitely don't be that guy. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this, leave a like and subscribe. And if you have your own stories about accents, leave them in the comments. I'd love to read them. And I will see you next time.